Hello, family. Welcome to Old Gods of Appalachia, Session 0, here on Dork Tales. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Kelly. I'm going to be your game master for this iteration of Old Gods of Appalachia. I'm going to reserve my southern manners for when we're actually playing, so I'm going to use my normal voice for now. But anyway, hello and welcome to Old Gods of Appalachia, a horror anthology podcast by Deep Nerd Media that has become a pretty exciting role-playing game by Monty Cook Games. We are lucky enough to have a copy of this because I kickstarted it a while ago. I've been super excited to get into this. And folks, I am very excited to jump in. This is session 0 where we are going to look through everything and we're going to build characters and a setting to run our mini-series in. So I hope you are excited. As stated, I am your Game Master Kelly. I use he and him as my pronouns, and I'm really excited to be here with all of these folks. Let's meet them right now. Let's meet our family. Starting with Christine.
Hello, I'm Christine. I use she, her pronouns, and I don't know what else we're going to be talking about here, so...
Where can we
I
find
don't
you?
have characters yet. What am I doing?
Yeah, where can we find you? What do you do in your spare time?
You can find me here at Dork Tales or as Lady Liliana on Twitch and most social medias, where I stream various games, but mainly Guild Wars.
Nice. Over in the corner, we have Jen.
Hey, I'm Jen. I use she, her pronouns. And yeah, real excited to be making characters tonight. It's going to be a good time. This system looks really cool. You can find me as Achille Daniels, either in the chat or on Twitch, sometimes streaming, hopefully more as my schedule calms down a little bit. And of course on Dark Tales. And you can find me at Paradox, a Mage the Ascension podcast, which is my podcast that comes out every other week about Mage.
Fantastic. Beneath you, we have Kelle.
Hello, it's Kelle from up the road. I use she, her pronouns. I am ridiculously excited for this because Kelly said, hey, you're interested in Eldritch Horror? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what do you know about Old Gods of Appalachia? I'm like, nothing. He said, here, go listen to this. 2 episodes. And I'm like, I'm in. Yes. So I binged the entire podcast in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I'm going back to it again because there's little bits that you miss. And I've already gone through the first 2 episodes. There's little bits that was there, and what you know at the end, you kind of see the foreshadowing before, and it's just like the whole mythos and story woven together is just
They do a great job.
It's beautiful. It's creepy. It's so good. It's so good. So yes, I'm extremely excited for this. So
it's going to be fantastic.
In today's chat here, I am Kelle Belle CA because it started out with that. On Twitch, I am Kelle, and I'm Kelle Belle most everywhere else. But you mainly find me here with Dark Tales. Sometimes you can I post little bits and things on Instagram. It's either plants or knitting or my cats. That's it.
Fair enough. And joining us for the first time anything outside of Extra Life, we have Charlie.
That's a lie. I did Strixhaven.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You were here for a Strixhaven one go.
That's okay. I'm pretty forgettable. Hi, I'm Charlie. You can find me anywhere at Chicken Charlie with 2 E's at the end. On the Twitters, the TikToks, the Twitches. I sometimes stream. I recently moved and still getting everything set up, so I've been kind of slacking on the streaming. Or you can find me here on Dork Tales every once in a while when they go, hey, you, come here. Here's some Skittles.
Is that all it takes?
We have Skittles.
We have Skittles.
That's truly all it takes. Kelly, if you were like, I'm going to give you a single Skittle per stream, it'd be like, deal.
Oh, God, that's a great deal. You're a good player. All right, so folks, we are going to start talking about this. So for those of you who don't know about Old Gods of Appalachia, it is a horror anthology podcast that you can listen to right now. It's all free, except for some of their Patreon exclusive episodes, similar to what's happening here. You folks on Patreon are watching this right now, actually. So it's good to see you all in the chat. I love seeing everybody there. It's the little hopping tonight. So thank you so much for supporting us, first of all, patrons. Also, this is using the Cypher system, and this is our first time playing it. I think it's everybody's first time playing the Cypher system, which is, it's weird. It's good, but it's weird, and we're going to be going into this. We're going to be stumbling through it. So if you are a Cypher system veteran, please forgive us. You were like us once. please be charitable. Although if you have any hints or tips, or if we miss anything, it is a very big book with a lot of chapters. It's very chapter heavy. The entire core book has, how many chapters? Only 20 chapters. That's way more than a normal role-playing book. So folks, it is a game set in the Appalachian Mountain region, which is over, kind of running along what you kind of picture as, if you're not from that region, as the Banjo States. That's like your Virginias, your Carolinas, up into Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Maybe a tiny bit of the corner of Georgia, but basically that stretch there. If you're a historical movie buff, a lot of stuff in the U.S. Civil War was fought there. A lot of moonshining came from that region. Mountain Dew is kind of the soda of that region, because it is based off of moonshining. And then it is also where films and books like Last of the Mohicans were set. So that type of like rolling mountains. The idea of these mountains is that they're not as majestic as, say, the Rocky Mountains, because they are some of the oldest mountains. They were old when the dinosaurs walked the earth, whereas the Rocky Mountains are like the new upstart mountains that haven't been whittled down by time. And it is a place of family and blood and dark things buried beneath the mountains, where they were sealed by greater things than them to prevent them from eating the universe. And we learn more about them throughout play, mostly playing the part of humans who are kind of stumbling about, doing what they can. We're going to be setting this game in the late 1920s. We're right in the throes of Prohibition. We're going to be like 1929, 1930 probably for this. So if anybody has a particular preference on year, let me know. Like anything in there works for me. We're right in the middle of Prohibition, so alcohol is illegal inside of the United States. People are doing bootlegging operations all through the mountains. Transportation sucks, although recently a number of railroads have been clearing paths through this region, a lot of times claiming eminent domain to destroy usually the settlements of colored folk and the indigenous peoples that still are around here, most of which were kicked out west quite a while ago, usually during things like the Trail of Tears. And there's a lot of bad blood in this story. But we're going to try to have fun and enjoy the history as well here. Now, we were talking before about what type of game we'd want to play, and it seems like we kind of all were on board with the idea of playing some type of family. Is that correct? We're all down for that?
Yeah.
Wee doggy.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
So my initial idea was that what about setting a game this book goes through the regions very, very, very well. I have a lot of experience. I grew up for a bit in Pennsylvania. So I love Pennsylvania, but it is very north. It's Appalachian, but it is a northern state, like a distinctly northern state and vibe. Looking down around here, I would like to know, do you guys want more coal mining, or do you want more railroads, or do you want a mix? And that sounds like a weird board game.
No, I like
yeah.
mix.
Maybe
yeah.
a mix, just
Yeah,
to
I
get a
like a
taste of
mix.
each.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I mean, a lot of it is, the men worked in the coal mines, and if there were issues with that or they didn't like it, then, well, the railroad was coming along, but they were both equally hard jobs.
And horrible. Yeah.
And horrible,
Absolutely.
horrible jobs that did not pay enough and were both equally dangerous.
As you know from having listened to all 3 seasons, how bad it actually gets.
Yes.
So
Deliciously awful.
there is a ton of stuff inside of the system that I absolutely love. We're going to be getting into that in just a minute. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of a couple of options that we have for locations. Kentucky is largely, Kentucky's wealth comes from the ground, and it comes at a high cost. Coal seams follow the mountain ridges, all that kind of stuff. North Carolina is farming country. I'm just going to read the first sentences of each of these to give you a sense of things. South Carolina, in my experience, is plantation country for the most part. I'm not super interested in that. Tennessee follows the highest ridges. The Blue Ridge Mountains are taller than the sky and older than old. and is where a lot of the stories take place, like where Baker's Gap, if you follow the story, is in Tennessee. I'm leaning toward West Virginia. It's the only state entirely within the Appalachian Mountains, and it shows the whole state is made up of mountains and rolling hills covered with ancient trees. Ground is rocky, coal and limestone tucked underneath. Elevation drops near the Ohio River in the north, where you'll find the Moundsville Prison and the state line. But on the whole, it exists at a high altitude where the air is thin and cold. Does that sound interesting to you, or do you want to go somewhere a little warmer? So I'm kind of torn between that and maybe Tennessee.
I was
Well,
definitely for myself. I was definitely thinking like winter, like surviving the elements. Like life is just not easy all around.
yeah.
Growing out of toughness. So I would also lean towards like northern state, Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that
Because like
too.
West Virginia is like
you've got to make the joke at least once, though, that the old roads are taking us home to.
see that's
West Virginia.
I actually have a cover of Country Roads that we can play. So
Yeah. I don't really have a good sense of any of them, really. The only thing I have much of a sense for, like, feel is something more like the Ozarks, which is where the book where the red fern grows is set, which I read a lot as a kid. So, like, I have that kind of like
well, and that's where I
vibe.
grew up, right? So I grew up in the Ozarks region. Like the Lake of the Ozarks was a half hour from my house. So I feel you there. I think West Virginia is pretty close to that in many ways. Very mountainous, just like the Ozark mountain range. I mean, although much more impressive. I think West Virginia is a good choice because also it's got a lot of horror in its history. Those of you who are aware of Centreville.
Centerville?
I don't know if I know it by the
Centerville?
name. I know a
Yeah.
lot of the stories from that area, but I don't always have a
So-
great memory for names.
I do love those stories. and
Centralia.
those
I think it's
myths.
Centralia. The one, the coal
Centralia.
mining town that caught fire and
Oh,
was
yeah.
burned for like
Yep.
50 years. That theoretically
Yes,
Silent Hill
yes.
was based on. It wasn't. The movie was though.
Yes.
So if we're all good with that, let's go with
Centralia cold fire. Yes.
the it's Centralia. Yeah. So
Centralia
West Virginia, are we down for
Yep.
that?
Sure.
Yep.
So
Yep.
my premise for this is that you all come from a family of 7 sisters. The 4 of you, plus one who is probably dead, to be honest. We got one dead sister because there always is one. We've got one sister who cannot make it to this little reunion, and one sister that you might not talk about, much like most families in the Midwest or South. So the premise for this, I like the idea of you guys potentially not having seen each other in quite a while. And sort of my initial pitch, and please tell me if we want to go somewhere different, is that you are coming home to sort through your mother's things after she dies.
Ooh.
And that is drawing you back to this hometown in the middle or in northern West Virginia. Now, if that is not something that we want to tell, then we can spread it out. But that does allow like the mystic stuff to happen. The explorer gets dragged back in, the protector shows up, and so on, right? And then you've got all of these old haunts and haints coming out to play.
So
Yeah.
I'll just chime in with a bit of the character concept I was thinking of, because it can work with that kind of weirdly, but I was almost thinking of like a like one of the younger sisters who had gone away for a bit of schooling and has come back to like be the school teacher in
Oh, I love
like
that.
hometown type thing, because young unmarried school teacher, that's the job you get.
The school marm. Yes.
Yeah,
I love it.
and so still
Yeah.
like young. I wanted to play the explorer, or one of these, however many explorers we have, I don't know, but
Yeah, we can have multiples. That part's fine.
yeah, the types we can have multiples of. There are only 4 after all.
Yes, in this game, there's only 4 types of character, 4 classes basically, and
I
but
kinda
there is an
love the
infinite
simplicity of
permutation
that.
beneath them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's you can make them more and more specific as you go through character creation, but
Okay.
you start with the basic type. But I also kind of had the thought that she might like one day want to be like I can't remember exactly what they did, but it was like the word was in there was bookwoman,
Mhm.
and I don't know exactly what that boils down to.
Fair. I'm not exactly sure either. We're gonna have to look that up.
That sounds
uh,
interesting.
For the
Right?
audiences, I think that's
Yeah.
great, especially if you had a strained
Mhm.
relationship or a relationship that was maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of ways we can make this family dynamic very interesting. For example, just
Mhm.
because your ma died, is your dad alive? Are they separated? Did he die a long time ago, or are they
Right.
Oh, Daddy was killed in the coal mine.
killed in the coal mine?
Yeah.
Sounds
Daddy was
easy.
Yep.
killed in the coal
Long time
mine
ago.
accident.
All right, we're good with
Yeah.
that. Daddy was
raised
killed.
us. Ma raised us. The other part of the character
Yes.
concept I was thinking of was like this wasn't necessarily my plan to come back to be the school teacher. Like I wanted to be a school teacher, but not necessarily in my hometown. And maybe that's just the opportunity that came up.
So I looked up what bookwoman means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
an Appalachian bookwoman? And they specifically mentioned one of them through Wikipedia. The article is the bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, Cussy Mary. One of the a bookwoman is one of the pack horse librarians who delivered books to remote areas of the Appalachian Mountains during the Great Depression from 1935 to 1943
I mean, that's
as
cool
part
too.
of the Works Progress Administration program.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's kind of what I thought it was because it sounded like Pony Express, but for libraries.
That sounds like something you'd want to do in real life, Jen.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I would
Yeah.
love that. If I could ride a horse and just carry books around, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, that seriously would.
Yeah.
That sounds
Oh, I
really
like it.
good. Now,
That's cool.
why don't we go ahead and start talking a little bit about character concepts as we're going through this? So there are 4 character types. There is Protector, Explorer, Sage, and Speaker. Now, there's an infinite number of permutations basically inside of each one, but they kind of give you an idea of where we're going. All of these are divided into tiers. Now, because we're going to be starting this right off from the beginning, we're going to start you at tier 1. So all of your stuff's going to be tier 1. Really easy to understand. Then we can ease into the system together. So, Jen, you've already said kind of your idea. Now, Christine, you were also leaning on an explorer, but I'm already seeing right now that your type of explorers are completely different.
Yeah, so I was leaning potentially to Explorer, mainly from the early checks. It sounded like everybody wanted to do Sage at that point in time when I was first, like, when we were first tossing stuff around.
Mhm.
And so, of course, we're not going to have like all 4 being Sages necessarily. That might be a little too much.
Yeah, you need some rosemary in time.
But yeah, I was
We either
thinking
all need to
more-
play Sages or only some of us need to play Sages. Like it's all or like 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's all or nothing.
Yeah, so I was leaning towards somebody, an explorer who travels for the travel type thing. Traveling to distant places, going to see things basically, and kind of exploring for the sake of exploring in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of thinking about it on the bus on the way home because I was listening to Old Gods on the way home from work. And I was kind of thinking, okay, well, how old is she? How does she have the ability to do this? How much does it cost? Where's she getting the money from, etc.? And I'm like, well, she could be unfortunately a widow. All
Yeah.
sorts of things, or something along those lines potentially. But I'm not really too welded to it, so I'm happy to adjust as we kind of discuss and figure out where we might have a bit of opening for some coverage. Because if we need a protector or something, I could also be essentially Marcy Walker, which is basically a protector.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
totally
was
do that.
after hearing about the bookwoman, so I had 2 kind of ideas, and one of them was to be a nun that like takes care of like the foster kids and like a big like the end of Little Women kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Or like
That's
the
way different than your original concept.
listen, I like listened to the podcast and really tuned into like the era, and so like I whittled it down a bit. Or my other one,
No, I think it's fine, but keep going.
but my other one was like the drunk coal miner, but in a like widow, like my husband died, and so I turned to the seedy parts of the prohibition, like
Fair.
maybe bootlegs a little bit.
Is she a working girl?
She's a working girl. She like probably bar backs the speakeasies the little
Mhm.
pop-up shop that's around in the back,
And whatever other work a woman can do at that time. Yeah.
whatever other work a woman can do. She's not the best embroiderer, but she'll make you a pillow.
Would
It's
she
not what I was
would the
implying. But
other
fair.
character concept be a nun or be like one of those very evangelical church people?
I would
Ooh.
either one. I like either one would be great, but I don't know. Like, I don't know in 1920 what positions women could hold in the church other than nuns.
Well, you also
but-
got to remember Catholicism doesn't have a very big grasp on this
Yeah.
region. You're mostly
That's why I'm
talking
saying
Baptist and
evangelical
evangelical
type style.
because
Yeah.
this is second
Mhm.
revival type.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a master's in American
Yeah.
history, and it's all just bouncing in my head.
Yeah, Catholicism wasn't that big, I think,
No.
Yeah.
comparatively.
No.
And I mean, you could be like a I can't
Like
remember the
a
Baptist
childminder.
one. Or like a vicar's wife type
Mhm.
where
Well, and what was
right?
it?
Like
Usually the Methodist
pastor's
was all
wife,
about
yeah.
brothers and sisters and that sort of
Methodist,
thing, and you were
Methodist
all
is Catholic light. It's Catholic
Yeah.
without all the cool rituals because that's my family was
Mm.
Methodist. And it like whenever I went to a Catholic church for a service on a Sunday with some friends, I'd always be like, "You guys get wine and crackers? This is great.
the coolest.
It's cool.
So yeah,
Got
it's
a
like
dude
two.
nailed up on the wall. This is metal."
It's like two wildly different character ideas. But if we
Yeah.
already have like a teacher-esque explorer person, I'll probably lean into like protector, gritty, like name is
Mhm.
Louise but goes by Lou.
I like that, yeah.
that sounds like a lot of
girl.
fun.
Well, you got two
Yeah.
ways to do it. You got somebody who basically became a tough as nails widow, which is great. Or, depending on how much strife you want to have, I need to ask right now: was your ma a mama? Was she a magic user? Was she a lady who had that type of like connection to the green and could do like folk magic? Because if you take that first concept, you could have been saved from your heathen family ways and taken
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
light by your husband.
But see, I
Ooh.
also like with the second concept, like Lou being the oldest sister and kind of turning away, like maybe you got married or whatever because it was expected of you, but you didn't really want that family life, and so when you were widowed, you were kind of thankful. Like,
Yeah, she
Yeah.
gracefully she like everyone like thinks it's her love and dedication to her dead husband. She gracefully did not remarry. She was like my
Yeah.
husband was good for me and like I was a good wife and he did his best and you know I'm thriving in widowing
widowdom.
widowdom.
Widowhood?
So
Widowhood.
there's also a
Widow-
fun one. If
It's absolutely widowhood.
if your dad was somebody who died in the coal mines and then you married a coal miner, you're literally just becoming your mom.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
bad.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that Lou,
so-
like
Okay, we're going with Lou. You want Lou?
well, it's
Mhm.
Louise, but like yeah,
Louise?
Lou, like
Okay.
locals call me Lou. My estranged sisters might not,
Yeah.
because they've been gone for some
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think like I stayed local, but because everyone else left, and I
Yeah.
felt bad leaving mom, and then she
And
died.
You were probably the one that mom leaned on the hardest,
Okay.
being the oldest after
Mm.
dad died. So, you
It's
know,
like-
maybe I'm the youngest and I have the most freedom of like, hey, or maybe not the youngest, but like one of the youngest of just, you know, freedom. I can go do whatever the fuck I want. And
It's
Yeah.
true. So
Mhm.
Christine, back up to you
Yes.
real quick because I think Kelle has a really good sense of her character. So if you're talking about how you funded your things, there are a number of ways you could do that if you don't want to have like also a dead husband. So I'm gonna give you a couple of other ideas for you to play around with. Number one, you could have stolen the money.
Mhm.
Right? You could have stolen it from any number of people, good people, bad people, etc. Tons of that. You could have stolen it from a bootlegging operation. You could have worked for a bootlegging operation and saved up enough money to go around. You could have taken jobs under someone like the railroad that makes you travel through that. Like the railroad here is hiring all sorts of agents, and they're not terribly picky about gender. You also could have made a deal of some kind for freedom in exchange for service. I know there's a man in paradise that is happy to make those kind of deals, a man named Jack, who will fund certain things. But there's plenty of ways for you could have gotten money. Alternatively, if you want to be a real piece of shit, you could have stolen money from your mom, which could include any payout that your dad was granted.
I was actually just about to type in our chat of it's like stealing the family jewels as you like leave in the middle of the night because you're like, I need to get out of here and just get away from this life.
Don't necessarily want to originally start out with like a really negative character, like connection to everybody else.
Maybe that's the sister we don't talk about. She's the one who stole the jewels.
That's fair. Yeah.
That could be why. Yeah.
But alternatively, you could have left for a good reason. You know, maybe you killed a man.
I'm also like cool to have like, it doesn't have to be explorer. I'd originally just kind of gone with that because we had some protectors and sages already and whatnot. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that in particular. That was just what the first kind of thought was. So I kind of want to hear everybody and see if maybe I can slot in somewhere else, because potentially if we have a really strong sage, then maybe a protector who hung out with her and like traveled around with her more, or an explorer who traveled with that one. Like kind of, we could always have had more connections between us type thing.
There's also the last one, which the speaker, which is one we haven't discussed because I don't think any of us actually want to be the speaker. No, that's fair. I just wanted to throw it out there.
In particular, I looked at and was like, no fucking way. Nope.
Yeah. Just because we've talked about every other type, I was like, let's also throw out speaker as just a thing.
Fair.
Yeah. Speaker.
I mean, it is kind of a cool thing because there's the example that they use for the speaker from an episode of the podcast. It's one of my favorite, speeches, soliloquies by one of the characters. You know, the binding of the beast in the woods, and it's just like, you can't do this. I've got. You think you're tough?
I feel like you've gotten farther ahead than I have in the podcast. So let's not give anything away.
Sorry about that.
I'm halfway through season 2.
I was also looking at this.
You're almost on it then. You're coming up.
You're just about there.
They actually have the episode numbers next to all the speeches, so I just looked it up.
Which is very, very cool. Yeah. So that's the speaker part is cool because I mean you get those really great soliloquies and speech moments.
I've kind of gotten to the point where I've ended up in a lot of roles of being the more lead or talker of the party, and I am not that sort of person personally, and it's very, very hard for me to do. So I am just like, no fucking way, somebody else can be the face of the group.
Totally fair. Oh yeah,
and it's
exhausting. I am done. I'm ready to be brute muscle.
Yeah.
So
my nun character is going to be a speaker. Because of the talked about, because I was going off the idea of like the zealous pastor or of just like the like community like leader, but I could also do that with the tough as nails working person that's just so intertwined within the community.
Yeah.
That has the like people skills of a speaker. I just also am like, I personally, you're like, I'm not a front man. I'm a front man every day. So I try to make sure I give other people space to take my spotlight away from a bit.
Charlie, I feel you. Man.
I've been trying it out a few times to be like, expand my range of characters that I've played. And there's been a few times where I've just been like, okay, I need to stop making the decisions. I am not cool with trying to figure these out by myself with no input, guys. Somebody else needs to do this.
Well, why don't we hear what Kelle wants to play, and then we can divide everybody else up a bit before we build.
Okay. Yeah, so I was definitely leaning on Sage, and I really kind of have this image of her being one of the sisters who stayed in town. Also, I mean, she might have I don't know if her husband's dead. Although it'd be kind of like I was saying in our chat, it would be cool if we all had dead husbands, because the talk in town would be they all have dead husbands.
And
They
then
killed
and
their
then my
husbands.
character's trying to marry off my character because she's young and it's time for her to get married, and all the men are like, no.
No, she might kill you too, that kind of thing. But yeah, no, my sister, she's a sage, so she would have learned all like the family, hopefully some of what she thinks is the family secrets, and kind of leaning towards the healing and the being like the town's wise woman, because there may or may not be a doctor, but they might not always trust the doctor, or there might be things that they just don't go to the doctor about, and so you go to your local healer, and that's what they do. So but another person who, like, working hard, it's family farm, not a production farm, but enough for your own family. Maybe husband is alive and works at either the coal mine or the railway, or he's dead and she has his pension to live from. But obviously that wouldn't be enough, because it never is. Maybe a kid or two. I haven't gotten that far yet, but
I
definitely
love
want
social
to.
connections, guys. Like
Yes.
give me all the hooks.
I
Yeah.
wonder, so I took a history of medicine class a couple semesters ago,
Ooh.
and a lot of it talked about like charlatry, and also like the evolution of midwifery, which a lot of
Mhm.
times got like associated with like sageism or
Yep.
witchcrafty stuff, because women doing
Mhm.
medicine, no.
Yep.
So I wonder if you're a midwife, like an Appalachian
Ah,
Mountain midwife, that's
yeah,
also
that would totally
actually
be in
magic.
her. Yeah, that
In
would
her
be
wheelhouse?
totally in her wheelhouse. Yeah. So I mean, hatching, matching, and dispatching is how they say it out in the Maritimes. So she so she probably would bring babies into the world and maybe help those who want to see them out. So yeah, she'd be the local woman who, if you were in a bad way, she was. You didn't go to the doctor; you went to her. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, a
Mhm.
doctor's a man who's
Well,
not going to understand the trouble that a woman can
Exactly.
get into.
yeah,
Exactly.
got all those women's
Mhm.
problems.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
I love that
So
this
I
is
can
just
also
another game where we have a bunch of historic institutionalized sexism and racism, and it's me running for a bunch of
Hi.
like femme and non-binary people.
We want something physical to fight against.
I'm here for it. I'm here
We're
for it. I
here
just
to
think it's
burn down the
funny.
patriarchy.
Feminine
Yes.
bells. Have we not seen how Barbie has done?
Barbie was great. Barbie
Yeah.
was
I'm like, it beat Dark Knight in sales. So
Barbie is
Right.
the Dark Knight. She's the Pink Knight.
She is.
The
Yeah.
Pink
She's
Knight.
the Pink Knight. The Pink Knight.
The Pink Knight. Wow.
Yep.
So I've thought
There's
of
a lot-
another potential concept, which is
Yep.
for a protector, which would be potentially the bartender or something like that in a brothel or in a tavern type
Mm.
establishment, because that's a good reason. Yeah,
Speakeasy. Yeah.
speakeasy type place, or like even like, I mean, barkeep in a tavern is not necessarily alcohol. It's the person who gets the food out, gets the food together, keeps order in the tavern. So a reason for a woman to be tough and ready and willing to
Yep.
knock some heads together type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that works.
Was another
Gotta
idea.
deal with the
So I've got a
drunks
couple
on
there that
payday
I'm
night.
happy to slot in and around.
Okay,
as
so
needed.
Kelle wants to be Wise Woman Junior.
Mm-hmm. Learning all of Mama's healing recipes.
Okay, and you are, what name did you go with?
Essie. Short for Esther.
Essie. Okay. So
Mhm.
then Jen, you've got Lily-Ruth.
Yes, indeed.
Lily-Ruth. That sounds great. So Christine and Charlie, what are we thinking?
Okay. Listen, with the sage in the family, I do think that I might lean more nunnery speaker, as like a saving grace. Like, I feel like people have not run off our town because I'm still there, and I am the leading perfection of like what a family should have been
So
So
are you from the
maybe
town as well? Are you still hanging out in the town?
I think so. I think that
Okay.
like I'm there as like she's there for like the like spiritual guide, and then I'm like spiritual guide, you know?
I
Okay.
like the two like there's the witch side and the or sage side and the
Yeah.
religious side stayed in town, and the other two of us are like bye.
I
So
feel
are you married
I-
to the pastor then?
Are pastors allowed to marry? Because
Yep.
if so, yes. Because
Yes.
if so,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very
absolutely.
rural. Yeah.
You're allowed
yeah,
to
it
be
was-
fruitful and multiply.
It was
So you
Catholic
probably have a
and
few kids, unless your
early
Yeah.
Protestant.
character
I
is
think.
barren.
I
Which-
was like, I don't know if I'm barren or
Yeah.
maybe I popped out one kid, and that is maybe I'm barren, and that's why I foster all of the like kids
Yeah.
that don't have families. That like
Ooh.
we like
Yeah, that'd be
the church
good.
house is like a foster home soup kitchen thing that I specifically run because my husband I think is like an overzealous preacher. Like
Mhm.
probably
Is he a tent revivalist?
I think
is-
so. I think it's like
Oh.
evangelical
Fire
like,
and brimstone.
Harold Hill meets sacrilegion, pandering to small town people. I think he travels a lot, and I don't go with it.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Fair. Ooh, I like it. All right, so Christine, so we've
now
got a
in-
speaker, a sage, an explorer.
I think I'm leaning to the protector, but not a barkeep. I'm thinking rail camp cook.
Real
Who had
camp
to
cook?
travel with the rail camp, so has gotten some of the travel in, but is also rough and tumble to keep those assholes in line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No jump in
Yes.
line. Get to the back, John.
Mm-hmm.
And they all like are puppies around you because
And I
you
have like
taught
the
them well.
massive iron soup ladle type thing.
I was gonna say,
Like,
would you like Sally's wooden spoon?
I
or
have
just cast iron
mastered
frying pan.
the
Okay.
improvised weapon.
Yeah, Sally's frying pan.
So, if
And
we've got
I picked the name Flora.
Flora,
Oh, I love it. Because it sounds so pretty and demure, and there she is. You know, she's whacked a guy with that cast iron frying pan before,
And she's got like muscles because
yeah.
cauldrons of food and crap. So
Mhm.
heavy.
So I guess
Cauldrons of other
what name,
things.
Charlie? What name are you thinking then for the preacher's
do-
wife?
For the I think that my name is like sister Louise.
Okay, you're gonna go with Louise still. Okay.
Yeah, I was like Sister Louise. I think that I try to make myself seem like a higher stature than maybe I am.
Louise or
So-
Louisa?
Ooh, Louisa. I added
Okay.
the A myself, but no one
But
actually
we all know
knows.
you're
Well, you
actually
all call her
Louise.
Lulu,
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, she's
Lulu.
Lulu.
and you probably get your knickers in a twist over that one.
Drives me nuts, but what do you do?
All right, so I'm gonna say that you probably haven't really spent much time together. For example, Jen Lily-Ruth has been away at school and probably only took this position. It can either be this town or it can be a town across the gap or something like that. So near enough that it's a quick car ride to reach.
Yeah.
Christine, you're all over the place, and then we have these two competing like white queen, black queen type of characters on the chessboard. Okay, that's good. So for last name, I have a couple that I've picked out. I found a list of pioneer surnames that I put into your chat. It's huge. Did you know "suck" is a last name? By the way, I was just flipping through
Yeah.
and I was like, well, that name sucks. So some of the
We
ones that
cannot bring the Bumbapus into this.
the no,
No, we cannot.
my name's Lily-Ruth
Sackabombastis.
Sackabombastis. No, that's not happening.
No, sorry.
I've got my short list. I've got 5 of them. I've got Wood, Bacon, O'Bannon, Odell, and Orr with 2 R's.
I like kind of multi-syllable
Okay.
ones.
But what do
It
y'all
rolls
have?
off the tongue. Nice. One of the ones some of us liked in the chat was Delaney.
Delaney.
Yeah, I
Okay.
like Delaney.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else that that jumps out at you looking at this list?
Let's see.
I do
We
like
We
the
also
O
had
ones.
Gibson.
Gibson's all right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one I had floated was like Hunter,
I like that too.
because it has
Hunter,
the same
alright.
sort of cadence as Walker and stuff like that. But
So does Bacon, O'Bannon, or Adele fit any of you to put on a short list? Or nah?
I don't really
Not
like
Bacon.
the O part.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
out. You're
Yeah.
vetoing the O.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And Bacon, not so much.
Not so much.
Okay, sounds good. Then we'll cross my entire
I don't
list
want to be
off.
reminded of breakfast every time I'm trying to
No.
play.
That's fair. That's
We're
fair. Kevin
already
Bacon.
hungry when we're
Oh,
streaming,
Bacon.
usually.
Okay, so you want
Starving.
multisyllabic. So let's take a look. So there's also the mix. If you want some like Irish influence, you could do. So what we got? We got Delaney or Hunter, Flora Delaney, Lily-Ruth Delaney, Essie Delaney, Louisa Delaney.
Dubois.
Could do Dubois
Go Dubois.
or
Because we're of the woods. That's
Is that-
literally
is-
what Dubois means.
Is that what that means?
Mm.
Yes, Dubois means of the woods in French.
also Whitaker.
Whitaker's good.
Whitaker. Where do you see
Oh,
Dubois?
I like that one. Yeah.
In under D, in the
How do
surname
you,
list.
how do you spell it?
DU capital BOIS.
Dubois. I see Duckworth. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's above Duckworth.
I don't know. Duckworth's pretty good.
No.
No, okay.
The Duckworths on Dork Tales? No.
Laura Dubois. Dubois is not bad. That's a good. I'm gonna shortlist that.
I like Dubois. Yeah. I saw that as just
Okay.
like,
Dubois
ah.
Hunter.
It bodes some like interesting juxtaposition with
Mhm.
my name and with Essie, actually, just because they're very, very like
Yeah.
southern. So it's,
Mhm.
like
Mm-hmm.
Lily-Ruth Dubois.
Yeah.
I mean, Dubois has some southern roots. That means your family
Yes, it
might have come out
does.
from like Louisiana.
Well, yes, but
Mhm.
it also
Yeah.
it triggers French, right? Because
Yeah, it triggers
Yeah.
foreigner in this
Yeah.
region, which is weird.
Mhm.
which is why the juxtaposition with the first name is interesting.
Mhm.
But
I mean, that could just be
Not
your
unpleasant.
daddy's people were French.
Yeah.
well, I was gonna say it's not unpleasant juxtaposition. I just
No.
I'm amused by it.
That sounds good. So if we
Or
want to
it could
do
be-
that,
Dubois could be Mama's name, but Daddy was a Delaney or a Donnelly or something else entirely. I mean, and they could still say, "Oh, those Dubois women," because they would have
It's
known.
true.
They would have known Mama when she was before she was married.
Damewood,
I mean,
Gatewood.
history is long in these communities.
Jacoby.
Jacoby. What was that first one I said? Sorry, I searched wood just to see how many have like wood in the title. And the first one was Blackwood, Eastwood, Damewood. Damewood's weird.
Damewood is weird.
Ooh, luck.
I don't know if I like it, but it's interesting. So, why don't we go? We'll put a. Does everybody feel? Unless you go with Fairborn, I just saw Fairborn. That's just that's a little
also-
reaching. That's a little Mary
And,
Sue.
like just a thought, because I kind of like this idea, since my character was thinking about not necessarily coming back to this area, but that might have been the only opportunity she had so far. And since it's the 30s and it's a little easier to maybe change your name, so maybe she's going but with
Yeah.
a slightly different, like she's going with a different last name. She comes back and everybody just refers to her by the family name.
Yep.
That's
damn it.
funny.
Because I mean, that's who you are.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
yeah. Just like the little
Mhm.
sister's Lulu, or the oldest sister is Lulu, because the little ones would have called her that.
Hmm.
So, do we want to go with
Can't escape
Dubois
family.
for the family name? Do we want to go Dubois, Hunter, or Delaney? Because those are the big ones.
I do like the Ring of Sister Dubois, so I'm going to put my vote behind that one.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to actually sound out each of the names against the last
Flora
names.
Dubois,
Yeah.
Flora
Okay.
Delaney. Flora Delaney's got the best ring for Flora.
Yeah.
Flora Hunter's all right too. Lily-Ruth,
Flora Dubois.
Lily-Ruth Delaney.
I mean, Flora Dubois, flower of the woods.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie, I don't because I think sister would be like a Catholic thing, so I don't know if it would
Mhm.
go just to.
Oh, I'm like, what?
I'm not
Ooh.
sure.
I think you could. Well, I think you could if it was more culty. If it
Yeah.
was
True,
more
yes.
like,
And I
Yes.
do think this is
Yeah.
like, I do
That's fair.
think that my husband runs some sort of like.
do you handle
and-
snakes?
Come on, they
Oh yeah.
refer to, I mean, a lot of these little congregations do refer to everybody as brother and sister. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
call them
True.
sister.
Yeah. I just
I think-
didn't think it would be
yeah.
like the everyday.
No, I
It's
don't
not like it's
Yeah.
sister. Like,
Yeah, I
like,
do
Well, it
think
it's not a
depends
title.
because some of the mentions of it in, say, stuff like Anne of Green Gables, it's mentioned that the Methodist dude was
Yeah.
walked up to random people and was like, "Oh, Sister Blah, do you feel saved?" and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
fair.
Mhm.
So they did kind of refer, like, especially the more kooky ones, the more
Yeah.
Yes.
extremist ones, did
Yeah,
tend to use
definitely.
that.
Yeah.
Definitely heading in
But-
the more like kooky direction.
Yeah, the more
is
cult-like ones who were trying to pull you
Yeah.
in with this
family.
fake relationship by
Yeah.
calling you by familial terms.
Now, when I
Or by
refer,
calling you by the familiar terms that you would expect from people who really know you, like
Yeah.
in the Asian communities, everybody is auntie, uncle, sister, brother.
Yeah.
You aren't related. You may have just met them and you're visiting their
Mhm.
village, but they're auntie and sister, and as a sign of respect. So
all right.
it could
So
work
big
that way.
thing when we're talking about this story at the end of the time. This is how we're gonna figure out the name. All right.
Okay.
There in the hills of West Virginia, we pick up our story there with the Dubois girls. There in the hills of West Virginia, we pick up our story with the Hunter girls. There in the hills of West Virginia, we pick up our story with the Delaney girls. There you go. See, there now, which one of those speaks to you?
Yeah.
I don't like Hunter because we've got the Hunter games.
Oh, it does seem a little Mary Sue, a little like that's like my
Mhm.
name's Mick Badass.
Yeah.
I really
Mhm.
like Delaney, and I don't really like Dubois. So just putting it out there.
You got a veto.
I'm not beholden to it. Yeah. I mean, it's a name that could come up to anywhere else in it.
Like,
They
Kelle,
both
is your
have the same kind of like vibe.
Yeah.
So I will throw my vote also to Delaney because
I'm good with Delaney.
yeah.
So I had a really strong reaction. I was just like, I don't like that one. I don't like
That's
Dubois.
fine. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this.
Hey,
So,
yeah.
and the other thing is, you folks, everybody except for Jen can have their character be married, so they can change their name.
Sorry,
It's true.
Siri decided to throw her sense in.
Oh, what did Siri
What
think?
does Siri want?
Siri said, "Yes, that's what I thought." I'm like,
Siri's
"Well,
like, you
nobody
should
freaking
take,
Siri.
asked you, girl."
you
Thank
should
you,
take
Siri.
Ruble as your last name. Thanks, Siri.
Yeah,
All right.
nobody
I mean,
asked you.
There's a good chance that Lily-Ruth has actually changed, like, or was going by another last name, but has like shown up here, and now is just being referred to as like Miss Delaney, and she's like, oh, this is
Waka
Okay.
waka waka. Okay, so folks, we're gonna jump into character creation right now. So here is the way that it's going to work. Now that we have the basic concept, we've got Delaney. Oh, I need a name for your mom, I guess. Let's look up top
Oh.
names of the, we'll say 1880s.
Yeah,
And
All right. Well, I guess I will have to be married then because I absolutely hate Delaney. So
oh, you hate Delaney?
Oh, that's
yeah, like I have not voted for that one. Period.
okay,
In any
well-
of the conversation. I'm like,
Okay,
ooh, God
well,
no.
Okay, well then tell you what, we'll come back to this. We'll come
Sure,
back to this so we don't spend much time. But let's get your mom's first name here. Can I get everybody to do me a favor and pick a number between 1 and 200? Each of you pick one. I'll just check this index and we'll decide what your mom's name is. Ready? Christine, what number?
6.
6. It could be Minnie. Jen. It's not Minnie.
148. I'll go for the other end.
Damn straight. All right, 148. Her name could be Rosie or Rosa or Rose, something with Rose in it. Kelle.
97.
All right, it could be Kate or any permutation of Kate, Catherine, Katrina. All right, Charlie.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be an adult and pick 17.
We have to know what that number is
Ella.
now.
It's like the funny number.
I
So,
know.
Ella.
We all know what number it is. Now we need to know what the name is.
So Ella is that one. Lizzie is 69.
Ooh.
Sounds like
that's
a
not
Lizzie.
bad.
You want to
Like
go with? You want to be
Elizabeth.
nice?
Yeah, I'll go 17.
Okay. Well, do you want Lizzie or do you want what was 17? I said it a minute
was
ago.
17? I think
I
it was
said Ella.
Ella.
Ella. No.
You want
Really?
Lizzie,
See,
don't
I
you?
like,
Lizzie.
I
is
like
probably-
Elizabeth or
better.
Lizzie or something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Okay, we'll go with that. Everybody cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then we got your mom's name. And we'll figure out a last name in a bit. It's a nice name. Dumb Tish. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into character creation right now. So here is the way we're going to do it. I'm going to go through it in order of what characters there are. When you build a character for this, to create a character, you build a simple statement that describes them. The statement takes this form: I am adjective, noun, who verbs. Okay. Each one of those grammatical articles is a part of character creation. For example, I am a cursed speaker who speaks in tongues. I am an honorable protector who defends what matters. Each one of those things provides an element of your character, and we will go through it accordingly. All right. The way that this system works, there are a number of, what you will have is 3 stats. There is might, speed, and intellect. There are also additional traits that are useful as you go on, called pools, edges, and efforts. So pool is a most basic measurement of what you have. If you have a might of 18, then you are pretty mighty. That's pretty damn strong. When you do certain things, you will expend points of might to do things. Like if you need to lift a heavy beam off someone, if you need to activate a power, something like that, you will spend points of might that you will regenerate when you sleep or when certain things happen to you. Okay. So it's a game where you get worn down. I really love that. However, each one of you also has something called an edge. Edges are important. When something requires you to spend points from a stat pool, your edge reduces that cost. So if you have to stay up all night studying your mom's spell book, if you have a particularly strong intellectual edge, everyone else would have to spend 2 points of intellect. You might only have to spend 1 because you're just that person. It's the same. The person who does not get tired from working as hard. You know, the person who can just run miles, the person who can be social nonstop without tiring out. That's what your edges are, and you'll develop those too. And then there's effort. Well, that's something we'll get to. So your stats basically cover: might is physical endurance, strength, hardiness, etc. Speed is coordination, speed, etc. And intellect is all of your social and mental stats. It's real basic. Okay, so going through this, we are going to we're going to start by picking up some stuff. As far as skills are concerned, you are skilled in certain things, and when you so you can be skilled in something up to twice. You basically go from being like trained in it to being expert in it. If something gives you like 15 different cooking specializations, 2 is the best you're going to get. You can only be so good at cooking in this system. Okay. So we're going to go through this right off the bat. And if you have any questions, we're going to look it up as we go, because this book is very diverse, we'll say. It's very spread out in places, and we're still working through it. So starting with the protector. So Christine, you have your character sheet open. If you turn the PDF to page 26, you'll start seeing some of the things that you can use to build your character. It also has your starting stats on page 27. So you have a starting might and speed of 10 because you're more physical. Your intellect is only an 8 to start, and then you have 6 points to divide up however you wish among that. The higher the better, and there is no limit to it. We're all being first tier people, so take a look at first tiers. I'm going to use you as an example, Christine. So your effort is 1. Physical nature, you have a might edge of 1 and a speed edge of 0. That means that you don't get tired as easy as a lot of other folks. You have an intellect edge of 0. Alternatively, you can swap that and have a speed edge of 1, depending on if you're a fast or a tough protector. On top of that, you get 2 ciphers, which are the abilities beneath that, such as, you can bear 2 ciphers at any time. You are trained in 1 non-combat protector-related area of knowledge, such as butchering, engineering, logging, mining, prison systems, railroading, things like that. You can take cooking. That totally works. Railroading would work too. It says what weapons you're good with. You are practiced with light, medium, and heavy weapons and suffer no penalty when using a weapon of any kind as a protector. Magic. You have an inability in crafting, understanding, and using magic. You are just not a magical person. Your starting equipment is listed there as well, and you have a special talent for combat and can perform feats that others can barely imagine. Some abilities are constant, ongoing effects, and some are specific actions that cost points from one of your stat pools. Choose 4 of the abilities below. You can't choose the same ability more than once unless the description says otherwise. These are things like Control the Field, Danger Sense, Iron Fist, Just a Scratch. These are things that basically will give you narrative control. Quick Throw. You can throw weapons faster than you should be able to. You can take any of the ones listed under tier 1, and there are quite a few there. So take a look, see what you like. Another thing that I want to bring up before we move on to everybody else, though, is the experience system in this. So there's something called an intrusion. For the most part, you will gain experience when you uncover mysteries and do stuff, but the primary way you do it is by me changing the story on you. So if you're fighting, I don't know, an undead deer in a cabin, and Kelle, you're about to hit it with a fire axe, I can say, unfortunately, your hands are slick with blood, Kelle, you drop the axe. 2 XP, here you go. And you can say, I'm good, I don't want the 2 XP, and pay me an XP to not have that happen.
Yeah.
Or you can just take it, you get 1 XP, and then you immediately give 1 of those 2 XP to another player by giving them a shout out. Oh, I really loved how Jen managed to rattle off that sentence in mock Latin a minute ago. That really was thematic. Mm-hmm. Or Christine was a total badass with that one-liner. Or Charlie looked up old tent revival sermons and screamed into the mic for 5 minutes or something like that. Like, there's a lot of ways to shout each other out and make it a really community game, but it also allows me to dick with you guys, which I love. I love being able to change the plot and make things worse for you, and I get to pay you for it, which is my favorite. However, under each character description, there are intrusions that you can spend XP off your sheet to do. For example, the Protector can spend 1 XP if I agree to do the following. Perfect setup. If you're fighting at least 3 foes, each one of them is standing, and each one of them is standing exactly the right spot for you to move you trained in long ago, allowing you to attack all 3 as a single action. Unexpected arrival. Someone you've interacted with in the past is in the area and ready to help you out. Or you can just do something to scare people off by inducing fear. Costs you an XP, but you can do this because you're a badass. At any time. You have access to all of these, so long as I agree. I love this. I love this because it allows you to play into your trope and be cool. So Christine, I'll let you work on Protector stuff. Switching over, next in the list is Sage. So Kelle, you have a starting might of 7. You have a starting speed of 9.
Okay.
You have an intellect of 12, and then you have 6 points to put wherever among those.
9 and 12. Okay.
So,
6 more.
Yeah, so with that, you have your intrusions are sudden vision, nearby presence, and magic surge. Which are some pretty cool ones. Also, under each one of these backgrounds, you are going to see that there is a D20 list. So if you want to flesh out your background even more, you can roll a D20. And, well, you traveled a long way to study with a respected witch and remain close to them, is part of your backstory. Or maybe Christine was the bodyguard of a wealthy woman who accused her of theft, and she left that service in disgrace. So if you want to roll on that to add to your backstory, please do. Also, you'll see that you have a ton of stuff there. You have an intellect edge of 1. Your other edges are 0. You have your starting equipment, your area of knowledge, and some magic and cool stuff down under the first tier Sage. And that is on page 35 of the book.
35, okay.
Okay. Moving on. If you have any questions while you're building, please just have fun with that. The Explorer. Yep. So Jen, you already have looked at this. You know it's on page 42. So I think you've already done all this.
Yeah, but I'm rebuilding.
Okay. So I'm going to read this off more to the audience than to you, I think.
Yep,
but,
absolutely.
Your intrusions are lucky landmark. So when you get lost, you can find a landmark to help guide you back. A weak strain. So if you are poisoned or diseased, you're just tough because you're a survivor and a traveler. It just turns out it's just a cold. It's not like influenza. And fortuitous failure, a trap or piece of machinery malfunctions before it can hit you because you're just lucky. Your explorer starting stats, you have a might of 10, a speed of 9, and an intellect of 9. You're pretty well balanced. You got 6 more points to spend. Your effort is 1, and you have a might edge of 1 because you're naturally hardy.
Sorry, those 6 extra points are just for the pool.
They're
correct?
just for your they're for your pool of starting values. Yes.
There is a way of improving your edge in some of the tiers. I don't know in all of them, but I know at least in Explorer I have improved edge.
Yes, depending on what you take or your backgrounds, etc.
Quick question.
Yes.
I'm just reading through the initial tier stuff, and I've noticed a lot of times things are ended with either action or enabler.
So action means that it takes an action, if I'm not mistaken. Enabler, that is one that I'm going to need to refresh myself on real quick. That is on page 21. One moment, please. So enabler. Enabler. He says it's on 21. Okay. Sometimes.
I think those are just on. I think they're the passives.
Are they some abilities allow you to perform a familiar action, ones that you already do in a different way. For example, might let you wear these abilities are called enablers. Doing one of these actions is not considered an action. You are correct. So an action takes an action. An enabler is just constantly on or is just a part of you.
Okay, because I was like, what the hell does this mean? This one word sentence at the end of each of these things.
The only reason I figured that out is because I have skilled exploring and skilled learning, which is just basically shit. And I'm like, enabler might just mean that it's just on. So
fair.
I was kind of scrolling up and down trying to find where that is. Where it just tells you what that means.
This index is actually good, by the way. I'm just gonna put that out.
I am impressed with the index.
So
also I like the little page numbers on the side of the page.
Yeah, this thing is annotated to hell, guys. It is real good.
Yeah. Love it.
So much so it takes a little bit of getting used to because there's so much. Look, hold on, I'll show this to you real quick. This is just one page. Look how many annotations there are on the side of this one.
Yeah.
And they're everything
and in the PDF, they're all hyperlinked.
Thank you, Monty Cook.
I know. It's doing my iPad geeky heart proud. I know.
So, speaker. So your intrusions that you can do are friendly NPC. You can make friends real quick or summon friends. Perfect suggestion. You can a friendly NPC can immediately show up and be like, well, why don't we just go through the pass? Ain't gonna be no dogs there. And boom, the storyteller tells you how to get through the problem. That's great. And then unexpected gift. An NPC hands you a physical gift you were not expecting. Well, I found this here elephant rifle. Maybe it'll help you. So Charlie, all of your stuff for building is on page 51. And so you have a starting might value of 8, a starting speed pool of 9, and a starting intellect of 11 with 6 more to spend. So you're pretty stacked.
I know. I also took, I know we haven't done descriptors yet, but I also took the loyal descriptor, which gives me +2 in my intellect pool.
Okay.
So I just put 2, 2, 2. So I have 2, 2, and 4.
Sure, that works for me. So
yeah.
I'm gonna step over to descriptors just to keep everybody informed. So your descriptor defines your character. It flavors everything you do. It's the difference between a stealthy fighter and a brash fighter, right? It really changes things up, and there are a lot of them here. They all have a bonus, even if they sound like they are not. And these all start on page 62. We can't have any double ups of this. Okay, so I'm going to give you a rundown of all of the ones that they have here. They have some that you could probably make for yourself, but let's stick to the ones in the book since we're learning the system. So, Beholden. You made a bargain or had one made for you with something. It doesn't matter. It gives you a bunch of cool stuff. Brash, charming, clever, clumsy. Yes, it actually is a benefit. Creative, curious, cursed, dishonorable, driven, educated, foolish. Foolish is broken as hell, by the way. I looked at that, and you literally have a -4 to your intellect pool and cannot do anything intellectual, but on on all of your non-combat tasks, you roll twice and take the higher. Because you got dumb luck.
Woof.
Yeah.
That's Sylvester.
Damn.
Yeah.
It is rough, but the benefit is huge.
Yeah.
I was hoping to take curious, by the way, but I could be talked into other things if somebody really wants that.
Anybody going for curious?
Nope.
Okay. So we got graceful, gracious, hardy, honorable, industrious, loyal, lucky, mystical, neighborly, offish, like standoffish, outcast, perceptive, rebellious, scrappy. Christine, I'd take a look at scrappy if I were you, because that sounds like that could be fun. Sharp-eyed, shifty, skeptical, skittish, smart, stealthy, stout, superstitious, swift, tickled, which means that you're used to being the butt of a joke, so you are really good-natured. Tongue-tied, uncanny. I think there's one more hidden on the last page. Oh, sorry, two more. Uppity and vengeful. The difference between uppity and rebellious, for example, is uppity is more know-it-all. But each one of them has a full description in it. I'm happy to go over any of these with you. So, for example, curious, Jen, as you already know, it gives you a +4 to your intellect pool. It makes you very eager to learn. So you're trained in any task that involves learning something new. You are skilled in tasks involving geography or history. You have an inability to focus on the grander picture, such as danger, because you hyper-focus on things. You have 3 books on whatever subject you choose. I love that has to be a thing. And you have some initial links to start your adventure, which you may or may not use if they are not useful to you. So I think that's great. Looking over at loyal, there's good and bad for each of these. So for loyal, +2 to intellect, you are trained in understanding motives. You are trained in tasks related to deception, intimidation, or persuasion. That's good.
I figure Azul's preacher's wife has learned the ropes. I have to pull my weight of bringing people in.
Oh, man. You don't ask questions. You just get to work. When you choose to follow orders from someone, all non-combat tasks involving those orders are eased up difficulty-wise. That's real good.
Buddy.
Support bay. Inability when you're working on your own, all intellect tasks are... So you're a follower. Okay.
Yep.
That sounds good. Okay. Kelle and Christine, are you still on the previous step?
I am very happy to take Sharp-Eyed if Christine doesn't want it.
I haven't finished reading through them yet, but I don't mind if everybody else has one that calls to you that I will pick from what's left.
Yeah.
Totally.
I find it very hard to read when I'm trying to listen at the same time, so I haven't read through my tiers yet.
No, I already read it.
Totally.
Yep.
So yeah, if you
I figured
Sharp-Eyed,
tier stuff, I'm going to have to come back and build that and really read over them and really figure out what each means before.
And feel free to customize after this place before the first game inside of your tier. You guys are all playing different character types, so there's no way that you're accidentally going to step on toes, so long as you get that. So Christine, if you want to come back to that, I'd prefer you figure your descriptor out sometime. But I know there's
I'm working on right now.
There's a lot of stuff to read. So you said sharp-eyed, Kelle?
Yep.
So trained in initiative, trained in perception. You can look at straightforward weaknesses and things. Okay. So no real disadvantage to these guys. Interesting.
Not really. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you guys all picked a name when I wasn't looking, so that's good,
Yes, we
I
did.
think.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you,
and Jen,
Christine.
I don't see you agreeing.
We'll
Were you down
announce
for that
it
one?
later.
I was
Jen
the first
agrees
to
right at
agree.
the top.
Oh, were you
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Sorry, it was above
Oh,
my
yeah.
my chat window.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was immediately like, yes, let's do
Oh,
Yeah,
it.
I drew a list in of ones
Mhm.
I'd pulled from the
Okay, so
surname list.
you are going with that. All right, so you are the
Yeah.
daughters of Lizzie Sinclair.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Okay.
it.
The
Yeah.
Sinclair
It
sisters.
falls off the tongue pretty well with all of our names.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Mhm.
it sounds good with everyone. Yeah.
That sounds good to me. All right, so with that, there are... Christine, take a look at Shifty as well, because it's fun.
I also
so which
thought if
ones
she's
were
a
people
protector,
taking already?
uncanny. I've got sharp-eyed. I think you should look at an uncanny. It's got some interesting perks to it.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scrappy is pretty cool too, but what does Uncanny do? Superstitious could be good too. Uncanny. What the hell?
Yeah.
Uncanny. You can act immediately even
Yeah.
when it's not your turn.
Yeah.
Afterward, you have a hindered action because you acted in advance. You can do this one time, although the abilities are renewed each time you make a recovery roll. So you do an initiative. It's just Sarah. It's just your character from Technocracy. I'm going first.
Nice.
Act now, think later. But also, she can like move and just like it show up. Like, how the heck did you get here? You know, I know the back roads like the back of my hand.
Fair. Fair.
Mhm.
What kind of person is she, Christine? You said she's tough? Or is
I feel like I'm trying to think what some of the where I'm pulling this kind of character feel in my head from. Because I feel like I've seen it in probably books or movies or something. But think kind of the slightly bigger, tough, no nonsense, arms crossed across her chest type thing, but with kind of bulging forearms a little bit.
So you're feeling pressure?
Yes, a
Okay.
little bit.
Have you looked at Stout?
But not specifically just about her physique, but that mentally
Okay.
very kind of a bit stern and a bit like no nonsense. I have seen your shit before. You are not pulling it over me again.
Okay.
Type thing. Like I have seen the number of children I have seen try to pull that move, boy.
Okay. Well, okay. So how about... No, not...
So a little bit kind of knowing in some ways, like so not quite smart, I think, but in
let's-
life.
Mystical, lucky, perceptive.
Mm-hmm.
Perceptive's one. Confidence comes off as arrogance. Listed there. Your skill at making deductions can be imposing. You were trained in any task that involves intimidating another creature. Yeah, perceptive. Look at perceptive.
Now, sorry to backtrack a little bit. When we were
Yep.
when you're talking about tiers,
Mhm.
is that not like our level and we're all starting out at first tier?
Basically, yes.
Okay, cool.
So
Right.
any of the abilities you take have to be under the first tier list.
Right.
But then when we go up in tiers, we can
Gotcha.
choose new things.
Okay,
As we
just
get
wanted to
more
make sure I
powerful.
understood that. Wanted to make sure I understood that. Awesome. Awesome.
All right. And so then we are going to head over to focus in a moment. And what your focus is, it is your, it's what makes you unique. And you definitely cannot have doubles of this one. Okay. The story behind your focus kind of defines you and like it's your journey, right? Like it is the verb of your character. Okay. So this can be all sorts of things. We're going to use the ones in the book. So the list of foci here. Oh, look, they used foci. I'm so pleased with them.
I know. They're
Right.
so Wonderful.
So these are ones like, and they get weird, guys. Applies themselves, becomes the beast, literally means you're a shapeshifter.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be mystical to have that one. You can be like a camp cook, for example, who is a shapeshifter at night.
I know.
Which is just
love it.
wild.
It's just-
Calls home the hounds. Cannot escape the darkness. Crafts powerful objects. Cures what ails you. Defends what matters. Delves the darkness. Does what needs doing. Fears no haints. Haints haunts.
I love that word.
Haints.
I love that word, haints. Yeah.
Gets rough and rowdy. Hunts. Knows Jack. Knows the unknowable. Makes a high lonesome sound, which is usually singing. In this, manifests the mountain, masters the swarm, moves like a catamount, possesses the gift, serves the green, shares the ways and signs, shoots sharp and straight, speaks in tongues, walks these woods, and would rather be reading.
I love them all.
They're all great.
I know, they're all amazing.
So this would require like a bit of work here. So I'm not going to focus too much on these because I know I just want to give all of you a sense of things, and I want to give all of you a sense of things for how things could be. So applies themselves. I'm gonna give you an example of this. So no one ever said you don't give it your all. Whatever you're doing, but particularly when you're learning something new, you're focused, immersed, and fast. Something comes up that would knock everybody else back on their heels, you've got a solution with at least an idea of what to do next. And for every experience, you pay attention. Some say you get a little help from magic, and maybe you do and maybe you don't. But that hardly matters next to the fact that when you show up, you do the work and get better and smarter every time. Choose one of the following. Pick one other PC you're always trying to impress with your learning, but you're not sure why. Pick another PC. You want to learn something. They want to learn something from you. You're not sure you're the best teacher. Pick another PC. They say that they've known you for years, but you barely seem to remember them. Or pick another PC. That character recently mocked you in some fashion that really hurt your feelings. How you deal with it is up to you. So this gives you a character motivation with another member of the group. GM intrusions. Accidents and mistakes are great teachers. Sometimes the thing you're sure you learned wasn't entirely correct. Did you know that vampires actually have an allergy to silver?
Mm.
And then,
Fascinating.
Yeah. My favorite is an old werewolf story where what you could do, you could kick the devil out of a possessed person who had become a werewolf by tying them to a pole and getting a virgin girl to kick them in the shin 3 times. Yeah, a lot of weird old folklore. I mean, getting kicked in the shin hurts. I'm just saying.
It does. It's better than getting kicked in the balls. I mean, I'm guessing. Is it? Is it worse?
Getting kicked in the balls, as far as I understand, is about on par with particularly nasty period cramps.
Oh, no. No, I'm pretty sure cramps are worse. I mean, does it feel like you're taking the bottom half of your abdomen and pulling it up over your head?
No, it feels like someone's scooping out your kidneys with a dull spoon.
Oh, both of those images.
Okay, well, I've been through that, so yeah. Literally had all my insides out and back in again.
Well, good. Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah. Happy stories. Happy stories.
Okay, I do think I've picked my focus, though.
What focus do you think?
Reading through this, I think I'm going to choose cannot escape the darkness.
Okay.
I am so awesome.
I don't know if I've always been dark, and that's why I ran to religion to find light. Or
I think that's too perfect.
I was like, or because I got into this weird, very corrupt religious system that I've awoken some inner darkness. But one of my connections.
Why pick?
Why pick? We'll figure it out. And then one of my connections can be pick a PC that always seems to see you, even when I'm totally cloaked by darkness. And I do think having Kelle's character be the one that can see it with the like magical thing is like a weird cool. It's both a connection and a barrier in our relationship. I think.
Yeah,
nice. I think that's good.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Okay. Oh, is Masters the Swarm particularly good, Jen? I see you in our
No,
chat.
I just the idea that it's called Masters the Swarm.
Yeah,
I haven't even looked at it. It's Insects, rats, bats, birds, even creatures that have no true form to speak of, those built more of shade and fear than blood and bone. You master one type of small creature that obeys you. It's an unusual skill, as you've been told far too many times, but that's a price you're willing to pay for the power and pleasure of your connection to this hive mind of old.
That's so good.
Not creepy at all.
So Kelle,
No.
dividing
Yes.
you down here, let's see. Possesses the gift, serves the green, shares the signs and the ways.
Oh, I've already picked it.
Which one did you pick?
I'm looking at crafts powerful objects because there is a background for the sage where where they would sneak into the local craftivist meetings. Ladies who would they get together and make quilts, but they had like messages or magic hidden in them, and you'd sneak into these meetings to listen to them talk about magic and such. And so now she probably runs the local craftivist meetings and creates the powerful objects.
You're a crafty bitch. Okay, good.
I am a crafty bitch.
Jen, which one was speaking
and
to you?
that's me for real.
I'm looking at knows the unknowable. Because that's the type of explorer I am, is the like curious, like book learning,
Cool.
know all the things. So it's and it does say you've likely got some magic tangled in your abilities. So I just think if there's magic in the family, this is the only way it's really shown up in me, was this ability to like see some things that maybe other people don't, but not any sort of real ability there.
Okay, that sounds good. And then let's see. Christine, you got tons that you can play with here. Fears No Haints is a fun one. That gives you basically you're not afraid of ghosts or anything like that, haunts or anything like that. That's a big cat.
Oh,
That
an
is a-
orange. Does Kitty only have one brain cell?
He has no brain cells ever.
Oh, he doesn't have it today. Okay.
Never.
I'm looking at him staring into space, and I'm like, nope, no brain cells.
No brain cells.
No brain
All orange
cells.
cats share one brain cell.
I
And he
love
never
orange
gets
cats.
it.
No,
Yeah.
No.
I had an
the
orange
brain
cat
cell is a
at
lie.
one point, and the flippy ends of my open flared pants for belly dancing would scare the shit out of him every time I walked by him. He'd like jump a foot.
Oh, I love my kitten is mostly orange, so yeah, half a brain cell.
All right. So,
Hi, big boy.
looking at this, I also have checked, and your other sister. So you're the sister that you guys don't talk about because she was bad news, and you might really dislike her. Is Ameline? Your dead sister, who might be the oldest or the youngest, but the seventh of you, probably the youngest then, passed away quite a while ago. And I don't have a name for her yet, so I'm gonna go look that up. I'm gonna find out a name for that sister. Christine, do you need any help thinking of a foci or flipping through?
I need the chance to read them
Totally.
without
Fair.
pressure, so I can't choose.
Absolutely.
But if everybody else is chosen, I don't mind being the last. I just
That's
won't
totally
look
fine.
at those ones.
Honestly,
So,
they're not really
if you
super.
guys choose by the end of session, if you can put them in our Facebook chat of what your descriptor and what your focus is, I will then just not pick those ones. But yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna have to sit probably tomorrow night or something after work and
Mhm.
just actually
Well, there is a lot here.
read
to
them with a
play
cup of tea.
All right, so with that, let us do the hardest part of this. And what's the name of this town? So we went with West Virginia. I have a North American town named Generator.
Ooh.
Now, here's the question. Do we want a two-part name, such as, for example, let's see, what's a good example of this? Like something with like a city at the end of it,
Like
or
a
a fort.
Fort Mac kind of thing.
Or Baker's Gap, or
Yeah.
you know, something's End,
yeah.
or Forks Lake, or something like that. Do we want something that's
Yeah.
like a combination word, or like a word like tourniquet, you know, that's really evocative of something specific, or paradise? So I have a list of I have a generator up right now, and some of the ones they have there, Sweet Carta is a weird one. I have no idea what the hell that would even be.
What? Sweet what?
Carta.
Carta.
I just jumped out.
Like
But we
the
could also
Magna Carta?
like Magna Carta, yeah. So we can look at things that are at the end. So there's bend, end, hollow, gap, hill, any of these type of words. We want something like that, don't we?
Yeah.
I really like a
because
lot of
this
those
is like-
ones, like the ones that like the Baker's Gap, the Heart's
Mhm.
Hollow, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like those ones.
Those are a lot of fun feelings.
Yeah,
What are
so-
those
and it
called?
really
Like, what is the
kinda-
term for
it
that?
adds to that description of what the place is like. You know, how did you find it? Oh, it was a little gap in the woods, or you know, there's a little hollow down, down past
So-
the railroad tracks, and that's
So
what it is.
geographic names, I guess, is what those are called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Saskatchewan has like the funniest like small town names, so I was trying to get some inspiration, and I found one place is just called Drinkwater.
Yep.
Oh,
I've
drink
been
water's
there.
great.
Drinkwater, and
Oh.
like Big Beaver or
Yep.
Smuts.
Smuts.
Smuts,
Uh,
Saskatchewan.
Big River. Have you been to Big River? It's not a big river.
It's not a
It
big
is a
river.
lie. Big River is a lie.
I mean, how
So-
we got stuff like Salmon Arm.
It's true.
Some of the weird names
Yes.
are funny as heck.
Yes.
Moose Jaw.
Oh.
Or elbow.
moose
There's
jaw.
elbow and eyebrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saskatchewan.
Elbow. Turtleford. Turtleford. Mike calls it turtle
so-
fart.
I've actually got a Wild West town name generator up that seems to be doing
Ooh.
a lot of these sort of combination names.
You okay?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like Pale Hollow,
I like it.
Thornbrook,
Ooh.
Storm Gorge,
Storm.
Narrow
Gorge.
Hill.
Gorge.
Is this on fantasy name generators?
Yep. So the Wild West town
Nice.
name generator.
Okay. Evil's Water came up on my. That's
Ooh.
Vicious Dale.
That's so good.
That's just asking for
Oh.
trouble.
okay.
Yeah,
So
it's,
a lot that have creek, trail,
Roost,
peak,
Peaks,
bank,
Snag.
dale.
are we a crick town or are we?
I was
going
gonna
to
say, are we a creek or are we a crick? We're a
Well,
crick.
you're a crick, but it doesn't necessarily be in the
Yeah.
town's name. But there is a crick.
It could be. It could be in the town's name.
It could be in the town
Thorn
name.
Glen.
Yeah.
Angel
Thornbrook,
Point, Rich Creek,
Bleak
Starkfield,
Hollow.
Bleak
What was that,
Hollow.
Christine?
Bleak Hollow.
Bleak Hollow. Oh, I love it.
Leak Hollow's got like
Bleak Hollow.
a weirdly like cozy name that like draws
Yeah.
people in, and they get eaten by the horrors.
It's already dark. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
Is it
there's
called
Windy
called
Springs.
Bleak Hollow because of all the coal mining, or was it
I
named
heard
after
leek
someone?
like
Oh.
the vegetable.
Oh. Oh.
I do like bleak though. That's good.
Yeah.
Did you
I
say
like
leak or
Bleak
bleak,
Hollow.
Christine?
Bleak.
With a B?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the creepier
Bleak.
version there.
yes. Yes.
How's everybody feel about
Like-
that?
I love it personally.
Yeah, sure.
Bleak Hollow.
Bleak
Okay.
Hollow.
Was it named after someone, or was it named after like a terrain feature?
I feel like maybe like a terrain. Maybe there's a hill nearby that they crested to find the hollow, and it was
Yeah.
very barren and thus
Yeah.
felt bleak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a very what is it, like a flint or something like that, or a slate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Slate outcrop.
You know, I can come up with a particularly southern funny story about this, so that's good.
Okay.
Well, we
for
were
it.
originally going to call it Flint because it was Flint. It was the Bleak Hollow of Flint, but turned out there was already Flint in the state registry, so they gave us Bleak Hollow and it stuck. Type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I
well,
like
the
that.
folks all thought that seemed to be fitting anyway. So,
I love it.
boy, man.
Love it.
All right, that sounds good. We'll go with that. So
Oh.
Bleak Hollow,
Does that
West
mean
Virginia.
that we're bleakers?
You're bleakers. Now,
Bleakers
is it
are
Bleak Hollow or
Halloween's?
Bleak Holler?
Bleak Holler. It's hollow, but
I
we
think
don't
maybe
pronounce it
technically it's
holler.
Bleak Hollow,
Oh,
but the way everybody says it is
Bleak Holler.
Bleak
oh
Hollow.
yeah,
Oh, it's
they're
like how
from
people
Bleak,
that
Bleak Holler.
Bleak
it's
Holler.
like how people that are like from the States call it Toronto, but it's like Toronto. It's
Yeah,
just
Toronto.
like Toronto.
Toronto.
We're going to Toronto. I'm sorry. You're going where?
Toronto.
or Calgary. It's Calgary.
So I just had the funniest
Squeal.
idea for my character,
Squeal.
which is that
I've heard
like
that one a few times.
I left to go learn, and now I've come back, and me as a real life person struggle with accents, but also sometimes copy people, especially with like accents that I'm familiar with, like a Southern accent. So I just like the idea that my character's trying to not sound Southern.
Ooh.
See, that's how you do
But
it.
sometimes-
That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes
So
I
you and
slip
Christine
into it.
Yeah.
sneakily made character things where you don't have to have an accent.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do
But
you
you
mean though? I
could.
can do it just fine. Especially
Yeah,
if,
she's fine.
if I have you to like play off of and get the proper accent and not the one that I made up for Win, which is
Yeah.
much more down south.
You just need to do yourself a favor, and you need to clip your tongue when you talk. You need to clip your tongue, and you need to speak with the bottom of your mouth usually.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just do, and remember, it's not coffee, it's curfy.
And it'll be so much easier
some coffee.
once I'm hearing it constantly. So if we're actually like in the midst of play, I would honestly prefer, if possible, if we find a voice and stick to it relatively. Like obviously if
Mhm.
people aren't doing an accent, that's fine. But if like
Hmm.
Kelly, if you're jumping in and out of an accent and talking to me in like our regular accent and I'm trying to do the accent, I'm not going to be able to respond
I
to your
actually
character.
for this am gonna try to stay inside of at least a Midwestern the entire time.
Cool. Because that'll make it
Um,
much easier for me to respond in
yeah.
kind.
So
Now, is it easy for you to slip into that Midwestern accent?
well, it's hard for me to slip out.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's hard for me to slip out. I didn't have an accent growing up, but everybody in my family does, and they all have kind of a Midwestern Kansas accent. That kind of sounds
Mhm.
like this.
I know
So,
it well.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah. So it goes up high when you're upset. I'm gonna kick your ass. That type of thing, right? Like that's
Very Hank Hill.
well, I mean, Texas is literally like 2 states down,
Yeah.
and they're not very wide states.
No, I guess not.
That's true.
I don't think about how small America is as a country.
Well, I don't think about how little of Canada exists beyond the border.
No, that's also fair. No, I just mean like I'm like you can drive literally for like 20 hours and still be in
So,
Ontario.
yeah, there's nothing in Canada.
Yeah.
All right. But no, like someone asked me because we were talking about the potential of going to PAX Unplugged and then going and hitting up Broadway afterwards. Like, well, where's Philly? I'm like, it's like 2 hours from New York. You know, like everything is like 2 hours from New York.
Yep.
It's all right there.
Mhm.
All the big stuff
Pretty
was
much,
like
yeah.
founded together.
Yeah, I mean, I went before it was down when I went to New York. This was way before the Twin Towers were gone. We went up to the top of the World Trade Center, and my friend is like, "Okay, there's this state, there's this state, there's this." I'm like, "You can
Right.
literally see other states." He's like, "Well, what about Canada?" I'm like, "I can't see Saskatchewan from my house. That's not possible.
That's not true. If you go up to a mountain, you can probably see it because this is where it gets real flat.
I'd have to go up to the freaking space station
Because you can, well, you can see Alberta from Saskatchewan, can't you?
Well, it
No.
depends where.
It
'cause,
depends
like,
where in
are.
Saskatchewan.
I'm
you
like
are.
I can see
from my dad's house.
Manitoba,
No.
but
Okay.
I can't see Alberta. But
'Cause
if
I'll
you're
tell
in
you one thing.
Saskatoon, you can.
About
Yeah.
driving from Kansas back up to Canada, you have to go through Colorado usually, and you can see Colorado for 7 hours
Oh yeah, yeah.
because it's like the beginning of a roller coaster, but in real
Yeah.
slow motion. Duke, 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 duke.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'm definitely the learned sister.
What's your intellect pool?
18.
Oh damn!
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
All
I
right,
put
anybody-
one into speed to bring it up to the same as might, and then I put everything else, including my +4 from curious, into intellect.
Oh my god!
Nice.
My glasses. My
But I also
glasses.
took. So I get an area of knowledge. So I took writing as my area of knowledge. So I'm trained in that. And then with curious, I get geography and history stuff. And I also get any test that involves learning something new. Those are the things I get. And then I took for my abilities skilled learning, and I took mythology and science as my areas of expertise. I thought that might be good.
Nice.
Mythology was for me because it's interesting and I like it. Thus, the knows the unknowable part, and then science is science. I took Decipher, which is like if I spend 1 minute examining a piece of writing or code in a language I don't understand, I can make an intellect roll to get the gist of the message. And I also took improved edge for intellect because why wouldn't I? And also I was running out of abilities that really fit her at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, and find the way, which is basically like if I get lost, I have ability. Yeah. When you apply effort to a navigation task because you don't know the way, are lost, are attempting to blaze a new route, and need to choose between two or more otherwise similar paths or something very similar, you can apply a free level of effort. Yay.
That's really cool.
But yeah, so
Nice.
I have a lot of learning
Hmm.
and smarts. Yeah.
Right.
And I should have been more than this. Anyway, she's not super rageful at first. She's like,
That's
this is a good
great.
opportunity.
All right. So is there anything else? I think that's the end of character creation, going through everything, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because your skills were assigned by your choices.
Yep.
Right. And then you've got your tiers, and then you've got your items, and then basically,
Oh,
all
and you should have your max cipher level.
Yes.
Which we don't have any ciphers left, but you should have a max cipher level of somewhere
yeah, I
in
think
there.
most of you it's 2.
It's
And
probably
then
2.
the last thing that we need to look at is in chapter 9. And that's something that all of you are going to have to pick. So at character creation, you choose an arc for your character. It's basically kind of like the aspiration system in Chronicles of Darkness, for those of you who know that.
Okay.
You are choosing a way to advance your character. So the rest of this chapter, the write-up of each arc describes the parts involved in progressing through the arc. There's the opening, steps, and the climax of the arc, and then the resolution. So I'm going to go through these. Pick one for your character. You can double up on this, but for the fact that this is our first version of this, maybe better if we don't, but you can. For example, your arc for your character, and I will lean into these guys, become a parent, build, cleanse, creation, develop a bond, enterprise, establishment, such as prove yourself as someone of importance, explore, fall from grace. There you go, Charlie. Helped you out right there. Find your family, finish a great work, give your word, growth, help your neighbor, join an organization, justice, learn, master a skill, mysterious background. You want to know where you came from, so you have the mysterious background, or something connected to you. Maybe something about your family is mysterious if you took that one. New discovery, like an invention or something like that. Raise a child, recover from a wound or trauma, redemption, redress. So you want to fix a wrong, repay a debt, rescue, restore, or restoration technically, revenge, right a wrong, romance, safeguard, serve the community, solve a mystery, teach, which involves teaching a student of your choice, theft, train a creature, uncover a secret, or whoop your enemy. So there's a bunch of these. You don't have to pick right off the bat, but if somebody has an idea of one they want, no reason not to mention it. Do any of those speak to anybody? And if so, you can also take a look at them. They begin on page, there are a lot of them, 167.
Yeah.
And basically, so I'm going to look at become a parent as an example here. So, and these arcs can have preceding arcs. So, for example, you could use the romance arc, then become a parent arc, then raise a child. You could also have become a parent and have no romance because, hey, that's life. Opening, get with child. Someone becomes pregnant, you start the adoption process, or you become a parent through other means. A step where you'd gain XP is build support. This might be a doctor, family member, co-parent, community organization, midwife, doula, or similar helper. This is optional. Step, complication. A complication arises that strengthens the pregnancy or threatens the pregnancy or arrival of the child. The birth parents, the guardians, or both. Preparation is another step. You prepare for a place for the birth and a safe place for the infant to live once born. Climax is the delivery. The baby arrives. Success means the child survives. And resolution, you get the baby to the place that you are prepared to settle in, deciding what to do next. That is that character arc. Then you move on to a new one. It's pretty cool. And you could repeat the same arc, technically. You know? So there are a lot of different arcs you can play with here, and they're all kind of cool. I like this system for gaining XP. It means that you have like a metatextual drive for your character. Okay. Christine, you mind if I say that out loud? You put in our chat?
No, I just didn't want to pressure anything by putting them out right away while people were still kind of thinking.
So Christine, you've said that you like the rescue, romance, or safeguard arcs as potential
They all
initial
kind of
arcs.
sound interesting. Especially since like the rescue it can be a thing or person who's been taken, I think.
Yeah.
Something or someone of great importance has been taken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could go back and meet a childhood sweetheart or somebody that may be an old bully that turned out to be a nice guy when he grew up or nice girl when she grew up. You could have your house risked or maybe an ancient family artifact or maybe something stolen that you have to rescue. Those are three great arcs.
Kind of feel like they could be good. Rescue feels more like it could be a bit more of a we have to go and do something. Safeguard is more a stay in the location potentially, and then romance can be anything. So maybe a little dependent on what we feel like doing for this first story.
I'm kind of interested in the romance one as well, but that's fine. Like it doesn't really matter. But just because I figure it would be something for her age. But also like serve the community or establishment, but kind of in the same vein. Basically, she's come to the area to teach, and so she wants to establish herself as a teacher. But establishment, the way it works doesn't really fit that, even though it's kind of the same idea. So serve the community might be better.
Okay.
Well, you could always do the thing of maybe the community was too small to have a proper schoolhouse yet, and had to go over to the next community, and it's gotten big enough, and you're establishing the new one.
Yeah, something like that.
Sure, establishment could work with that. So could I mean a lot.
Not
of
the way establishment is written. The way establishment is written is like you're putting yourself in high society essentially. Yeah. It doesn't seem like that at first, and then you read through the tasks, and it's like, like self-aggrandizing. Invite people to a party, and I'm like,
it seems like enterprise might be closer to that, like a business or organization. So, like a school could fall under that, or serve the community could fall under that.
Yeah,
just as easily. Like
there's also join an organization, but that's about joining one rather than
I think serve the community is the better option.
That sounds I like it.
Okay. It's a little more vague anyway in the way it's written.
Okay. Kelle, any of those jumping out of you?
Yeah, I like cleanse. Something's been contaminated, and because she's the sharp-eyed one, she's noticed that there's something there's a threat,
wrong in Bleak Hollow.
Something wrong in the hills.
Okay.
Yes, something wrong
Charlie,
in Bleak Hollow.
Any of these jumping out of you?
Okay. I was also gonna cleanse, but that's fine. I also think that maybe fall from grace, but I don't know if it's falling from grace or if it is righting like a wrong. Because like I'm not really falling from grace per se, because what my husband does is not graceful in like any sorts. And there's also recover from a wound, which or it's like or brackets or trauma.
Yeah. You want to go with that
which
instead?
I also think could be good of like getting like of navigating like this darkness that is like grown inside of me, and then living this like charade life of like happy preacher wife that is like,
and having ran away from your mama and now she's dead and you can't reconcile.
Yeah, pretty much like
redemption.
It was like I also thought redemption, but I was like redemption or the redemption right or wrong as well. So I'm kind of pondering.
Well, here's an idea. Why don't, if you did recover from a wound or trauma, that could lead into redemption.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like you make amends after you realize that you did something wrong or that you should have done something different. Or repay a debt could be one. Like you don't want to be here, but you owe your family this.
Yeah.
Restoration? You're down
Ooh.
but not out. You want to restore your good name, recover what you've lost, rebuild what has been destroyed. You've fallen down or have been knocked down, but either way, you want to pick yourself up. I get knocked
I do
down,
also think if we did, I do also think if we did recover a wound to restoration, like that, like I don't not coming of age, but like that
Mhm.
journey of like who you are when you remove yourself from every part of your community that you've
Yeah.
built.
Mhm.
What could also be like some fun character dynamics to play with.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, think
There's a
about
lot
it.
of ways that
And
could
if
go.
you don't know right now, you can let me know later. And Christine, narrow yours down now that you know what everybody else is. It seems like any of those jumping out at you more of the three that you were the most interested in?
I feel like romance or safeguard.
Okay. Do you want more of a romance plot, or do you want more of a like romance or a little more badassery in your XP gaining? You can have both arcs, like in terms of in the story, but what do you want to aim at from what do you want from the start?
Maybe start with a safeguard.
Okay.
I kind of feel like the romance would be fun because I feel like she probably doesn't get that much, being a little too intimidating for most of the fellows to want to go up against.
I like that we've got his axis there. We've got the witch and the preacher's wife. Then we've got the two incompetent romantics, right? Who ran away from home.
They're definitely
mean-
the younger siblings.
One's quiet, one's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are both weird. I like that. All right. So Charlie, think about
this is mimicking my
I
own
do-
family symmetry too much.
I do
It's
think I'm
real
gonna take
funny.
recover from trauma.
Cool.
With especially with the reuniting of the family and having like the pull of like the two people that or the two like communities that like need me and how to navigate that, and then
Mhm.
we'll lead that into somewhere else. But yeah,
that'll be
That
fun.
sounds cool.
And we can always switch it up. So if it doesn't work for you when we're midway through this, we can always change it. It's not a big deal. All right.
Sounds
So
gooch.
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
we have started this. So folks, I'm gonna take some time. I'm gonna actually be in the Midwest while I'm designing part of this at least. No, I won't, because our first game we're gonna do a recording in a couple weeks before I go down. So I'm gonna start prepping this. You are gonna be able to see a game coming out sometime in October because I want this out for spooky season. I want to thank everybody who supports us on Patreon for allowing us to have the time and money and energy to put on games like this and be able to dedicate time to, doing graphics and reading this very surprisingly thick book and getting the system down. So thank you so much, Patreon. You are all amazing. If you are watching this later on YouTube or Twitch, join the Patreon. It's for as little as a coffee a month. You can help support the channel, keep the lights on here. It is surprisingly expensive to run a Twitch and YouTube channel and podcast. It is really surprisingly expensive. But I really have to thank all of you, especially our world building producer, Soul, the maker of monsters. Thank you so much. You are amazing. To our divine producer, my mom. Hi, Mom. See you soon. To our demonic producer, Precarious, and our wizards of the Patreon, Tammy the Forever Cleric, the Ink Goblin, and Eddie Isaacs, and to our high counts, the Patreon, Taryn, Buddy, Amberthist, Cubby Gummy, Raven with Baubles, Karasha Urquhart, Chef Eladeth, Larook, Sorcerer Sanguine, Mike Baxter, and Kaylin Whitebeard. You are all phenomenal people. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and we will see you next time, family. Can't wait to play some of the music for this. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. All right. Bye,
God
everybody.
bless y'all.
Now bless your heart.
Pray to the fire, 'cause water has come. Pray to the east, where the traveler is from. Dine with their mind and in time read their soul. For about in this heaven is a topless hole.